and welcome to part 5 of my Japanese for Beginners series. By the end of this video, you will be able to describe a noun by using another noun in the possessive way using particle no. And with this, you will be able to make sentences like Mr. Yamada's textbook or the otaku's waifu. This lesson corresponds with page 44 of the Genki Volume 1 textbook, but if you don't have the textbook, that's totally cool. You can still understand everything in this video and in my entire Japanese for Beginners series.
では始めましょう。
So before we start this video, I actually did a video explaining no, the particle, a couple years ago. Link it up here in a card. So if you want further examples of sentences in ways in which the particle no can be used after this video, you can go check that one out. But for now, stay here. So our basic sentence structure for today's video is going to be noun 1, no, noun 2. So the no particle is a possessive particle. It shows that noun number 2 belongs to noun number 1. That's the very basic principle that we're expressing here. So the way that you can translate that into English, there's 3 basic ways that you can translate it into English. And I'm going to give you the sample sentence, neko no omocha. So neko is cat and omocha is toy. So one way we could translate this is noun 1 apostrophe s, noun 2. So in this case, it would be cat's toy or the cat's toy. The second way that we could write this down is the noun 2 of noun 1. So note you have to flip the positions of the nouns on either side of no to make this work. And in that case, no becomes the word of. So in the first example, it became apostrophe s. In the second example, where you flip the order of the 2 words, it becomes of. That one's a bit more of a mind screw. So for absolute beginners, it's a lot easier to just think of it as apostrophe s. But as you'll see with some of the model sentences later, it makes a lot more sense grammatically and like translate it into English if you flip-flop the nouns and do of. So in this case, it would be the toy of the cat. And then the third way that you can translate this concept of noun 1, no noun 2 is you're basically just using noun number 1 as an adjective. Even though it's a noun, you're going to use it as an adjective. And the way we do this in English with neko no omocha is we would just call it a cat toy. You might put a hyphen in there, but yeah, it's a cat toy, not a kid toy or an adult toy, but a cat toy. So you don't have to go a cat's apostrophe s toy for it to make grammatical sense even in English. And that's why I chose this particular word pairing, because it works like all 3 ways translated differently. But you can see the many different ways that you can express no. So now that we've gone over the basic principle, I'm going to give you guys a few more model sentences using no. Kodomo no omocha. So we already know omocha is toy. Kodomo means child, and Kodomo no omocha is also the name of a very, very popular anime and manga series that's really good that you should check out. Anyway, it's a child's toy, or the toy of the child, or a kid-toy. Otaku no waifu. So otaku, as we went over in the last video, is a nerd. It doesn't have to be anime otaku specifically, just a nerd in general. And then waifu is its wife, you know, like it's the borrowed word wife, but it really means like someone's waifu in an anime series, in a game. It's basically like that cliche of the incel hanging out at home in his mother's basement playing video games and watching anime, and he has a secret crush on this like female character in an anime, and she's his waifu basically. So it's like kind of your fantasy wife is what waifu is really. So the nerd's fantasy wife. Yamada-san no kyokasho. So as I promised in the beginning of this video, this is how you say Mr. Yamada's or Yamada-san's kyokasho is textbook. So a note on san, the honorific san, sama, etc. haven't really come up in this series yet, but san, a lot of people mistakenly think that it just means Ms. or Mr. That's not really true. It's a term of respect, but it's not as respectful as Mr. and Ms. is in the English language and culture. It's really just Yamada's textbook. So now I'm going to show you how you can use no with pronouns to make the pronouns possessive. So you might remember watashi is I or me, so watashi no is my. Watashi no bento. So that would be my bento, my box lunch. Kare means he. Kare no means his, possessive. Kare no kaban would be his bag. Kanojo is she, her. Kanojo no is like her, possessive. And then kuruma is car, so her car. Anata is you, so anata no would be your. And then ai means agape love, so your love. Ao no sora. So ao, we learned a couple videos ago, means blue. If you drop the e, it is still blue, but it's blue more as a noun than as an adjective. Sora, we learned a couple videos ago as well, is sky. So you could just say aoi sora. I know I haven't taught this yet officially in these videos, but yeah, it works the same way as in English. You can just add an adjective right before a noun to modify that noun. So aoi sora is blue sky. But when I write it this way, ao no sora, it becomes a little more poetic. It is the sky of blue. It's not blue's sky, not blue apostrophe S sky, but it's the sky of blue, whereas blue is kind of more like a noun rather than an adjective. And then to make things even more spicy and interesting, Japanese language does have a word where they smash those two words together, like German does all the time, and they have the word aozora. So the hard voiced version of the S consonant is Z. So becomes zo. So aozora. This happens a lot in Japanese when you combine words together. You just use the voiced consonant version of it. Something you'll pick up later, but you know, it's a little prelude. So aozora is one word that means blue sky. So that's like many different ways of expressing blue sky, sky is blue. And then to make matters even more interesting, ao also means like youthful and naive and virginal. It also means green. Midori no kuni. So this also is similar to ao no sora. Kuni is a kingdom or a country or a land, and then midori is green. So the land of green, the country of green. You'd say that about Ireland. It is the kingdom of green. And then this is what you guys are all doing right now. Nihongo no benkyo. Nihongo is Japanese, benkyo is study. So the study of Japanese, studying Japanese, but it's pretty much the study of Japanese, or Japanese study. So before we review all the model sentences covered in this video, I want to tell you guys about my new $2 tier on Patreon. If you want to support this Japanese for Beginners series, but you can't quite swing the $19 a month Juku tier where you get like daily worksheets that I grade and send back to you. If you can afford that tier, great, sign up for that tier. But if you can't afford that tier, but you still want to support this series and you want a little bit of extra bonus out of it, sign up at my Genki tier. It's $2 a month and you get a weekly study guide emailed to you. It covers everything that I cover in these videos, plus a little bit extra, and that's just for $2 a month. Pretty good deal. The more patrons I get at the Genki $2 level and the Juku $19 a month level, the more I will prioritize this Japanese for Beginners series as well, so it's a really good way to vote with your dollars. So now for the review. I will say each model sentence we covered 3 times, leaving pauses in between each time for you guys to repeat the sentence out loud. And please do not skip past this part. I know it's probably tempting to just, next video, but this is really important. Most people, when they learn a foreign language, they really skip the part where you practice speaking it. I get it. It's kind of embarrassing to like practice speaking in another language and you suck at it and you don't sound right, but that's why you have to practice, so that you won't suck and you'll sound good. And hey, it's probably just you by yourself in your room anyway, I hope. If you're not by yourself in a room right now, go be by yourself in a room somewhere where you can chant Japanese things out loud into your phone or your computer and not feel so embarrassed. But please, anyway, do not skip this part. This is really important. Kodomo no omocha. Kodomo no omocha. Kodomo no omocha. Otaku no waifu. Otaku no waifu. Otaku no waifu. Yamada-san no kyokasho. 山田さんの教科書。山田さんの教科書。私の弁当。私の弁当。私の弁当。彼のカバン。彼のカバン。彼のカバン。彼女の車。彼女の車。彼女の車。あなたの愛。あなたの愛。あなたの愛。青の空。青の空。青の空。緑の国。緑の国。緑の国。日本語の勉強。日本語の勉強。日本語の勉強。And thanks for watching my Japanese for Beginners series. If you feel like you're more at the intermediate level and you could use a bit of a challenge, check out my Sing Study Japanese series or my Watch Sailor Moon Learn Japanese series. Links to both series are in the video description below. I use anime, songs, anime episodes, and I dissect them one word at a time, and I teach Japanese that way as well as these more textbooky beginning style videos. So if that sort of thing sounds appealing to you, go check those series out as well. Thank you to all my Patreon patrons who keep supporting me and this channel and this Japanese for Beginners series, and I'll see you next week in the next Genki video. Mata ne!